So, just give a little studio tour here, Before I do any more episodes, I want y'all to know what's going on here so y'all understand, for those who don't know, want to get into, the world of production and getting into the studio, you understand what I got going on, why I chose what I'm, you know, each machine, what each machine does, how I use it when it comes to making beats, So I got a Roland JDXA hybrid analog slash digital synthesizer. Got a ASM HYDRASYNTH digital synthesizer. Got a Behringer Model D analog synthesizer. A Kai MPC Yamaha RS7000. All of this is going into my mixer, which goes into my Mackie mixer actually, which goes into my Tascam 2488 multi-track recorder. You can't see that, that's off the screen. You know what I'm saying? And that goes to my audio interface, which feeds into my computer, which records everything. So I either sequence on the computer or the MPC, depending on how I'm feeling. Usually I sequence things and arrange things on the computer because it's easier to see what's going on. And I use the MPC for drums and samples and effects, and to press play on the beat as such. I press play on the MPC, it plays everything. That's how I have it set up. I'm going to explain what's going on here and why I have things the way they are, why I chose. Because most people just use a MIDI keyboard and they use the sounds in the computer. I want to explain why I choose not to. Well, first let's start off with what each instrument is. It's the Roland JDXA, like I said, hybrid digital analog synthesizer. It has analog and digital sounds, so I can sound like this. Hold up, that's the wrong thing. My fault. I got everything hooked up to FL Studio, so bear with me now. Not sure if you guys can hear that one. I can sound like this. That's the analog side of things. This is the digital side of things. Find the digital sound right here. This is it mixed together. This is it by itself. You get the idea. Hopefully you guys can hear all that. Not sure if you can. Hopefully you guys can hear all that. I can do some more examples of some presets I have here. It's probably a better example. This is it layered on top of each other. You get the idea. It has an analog and synth engine and a digital synth engine. I can play it, separately. I can stack it on top, or I can mix it. A lot of people got the wrong idea about this synth. This probably gets a little bad rep online. You see a lot of videos about it. People are complaining about it, and there are reasons for that. The pros is it sounds amazing. It's a great MIDI controller. Technically, there's 5 different synthesizers, 8 different synthesizers. I can separate anything. The top half is the analog side, bottom half is digital side. So it's great for those. It has great effects. Amazing effects. Has a microphone you can hook up to it, vocoder. You know, this has a lot going on. See if you can hear what's going on here. Alright, you can't right now, but there's a lot going on right now, right? That's the pros. The cons. This costs about I think $2,200 to $2,700, and there's no polyphonic aftertouch. There's only 49 keys, which I would expect you pay damn near $3,000. You want a full 61 to 70. I think it's 78. Forgot how it goes. Keyboard, right? I don't play keys, so that don't really bother me. The main problem is a lot of times when people use Synths, they don't want to have to dive into the menu, right? This has a menu. A lot of things you gotta dive into the menu, and you know it's a lot of clicky buttons. People don't really like that all the time, right? So the color scheme bothers people when trying to use the menu because it's like really small and it's red. That's annoying. Not gonna lie, I love the Synths, but that's probably the worst part about it. To get to a lot of the advanced things that's going on here, you gotta go into this menu and it's hard to see. So out of the 1 to 10, I would give it an 8, 8.5. Those problems really take off a lot of points. Or for me, that's how I feel about it. Everyone has their own opinion. Then you have here, you have the ASM HYDRASYNTH. This is a great synth. This is what I use to control everything here. Any sound I want is I have it hooked up to this MIDI controller. This MIDI interface right here. And the way I have it hooked up, I can control everything through here by itself. I can mix, I can layer things, you know. And this is a great sound engine too, purely digital, but it has polyphonic aftertouch. Bear with me, I'm not a keyboard player, so I don't, you know what I mean. I just play what sounds good. So when I say you can mix things together, what I mean is I can layer things as such. But you hear, I turn this down now. I'm playing this, right? So hold on, I think the audio interface is messing up sometimes on my computer. There we go. So I'm playing this right now. This is actually coming out of this. If I turn this up, you get the idea, right? So that's what's going on with that whole situation. Like I said, this is one of my favorite instruments as well. I usually use this to layer underneath or on top of this. I like this sonically better than I like this though, but it sounds good when you layer both of them, as you can see. Like it fills it out somehow. Didn't have enough space to get the extra size version. There's bigger sizes. There's even one that doesn't have any keys, but I like this. This is my main keypad. As you can see a little bit off screen here, this is the Behringer Model D. Pardon me, let me move the headphones out the way. You know what I'm saying? It's the Behringer Model D. This is a affordable clone of the Moog Model D. For those who don't know, this is a famous synth, very famous, and it gives a classic sound that you may be familiar with. That's that West Coast Dr. Dre sound that we all know. You know what I'm saying? And he made famous. We could even get deeper. Get the idea. This is amazing. It's very powerful. It doesn't have any keys, so if you plan on getting something like this, any synth that doesn't have any keys, you're probably gonna need a MIDI controller, unless you plan on just inputting the keys on your DAW, you know, into to the piano roll, inputting the notes, stuff like that. Not what I'm trying to do. This is, as you know, the MPC, the famous. Not that good at the finger drumming, not gonna lie, but gets the job done. This is my main hub for everything. I had to take the wires out, did a little rearranging, but my plan is to have everything coming in through here to as for the the option of sampling. And I use this to a lot of times play the sounds out of this because this has the pads, everything set up a little nicer. You feel me? MPC, famous hip hop instrument. Most of your famous beats are made off the MPC, especially back in the day. Nowadays, most people use computers. It's getting back into that whole situation. People are using the MPC. But like I said, yeah, man, the MPC is where it's at. It's the MPC one actually. One of the smallest versions of the MPC that we have right now. New MPC sample just came out. Everybody's on that. Probably seen it. It looks more like a calculator. It's great too, though. But this is the same operating system as the flagship version and the live, so I can do everything I do on this, on everything else. So, like I said, everything is here for a reason. Yamaha RS7000. This is basically an old school version of this. This is another imagining of a groove machine sampler sequencer like the MPC. This is a little older. Came out around 2000. Has old sounds, but it still sounds good. I also have this hooked up to MIDI as well, so if I wanted to. That's the MPC sound. Actually turn that down a little bit. I have some drum sounds. These are drum sounds right here. I use this for basically the layer, sample, everything. This is very important into my production as well. Trust and believe. I've had this the longest out of anything else here as well too. So a lot of the sounds you heard me play before, a lot of the songs you heard me made had this involved somehow. So, but yeah, that's my studio. That's why do I have it plugged into my mixer and not straight into my audio interface? And we get on that. Well, originally when I first started, I had everything plugged into my mixer because I had too many signals going straight into my audio interface. What I discovered was, after playing beats at other people's houses and listening on different sound systems, is a lot of feedback. Turn the volume up, you hear that little bit of feedback. That killed me. I don't like feedback at all. So what I decided to do is I plugged it into my Tascam multi-track recorder that cleaned up the signal. Made it a little flat though, but it cleaned it up. No feedback, right? And that was good. And all that goes into my audio interface so I can get to my computer. Problem I discovered was that there was a little loss in flavor, right? So you plug everything up into this mixer, especially an old school mixer like that, it has its own flavor. Kind of glues the sound together, puts a little seasoning on it, you know? And I just feel like it just sounds better going into the mixer. I do get a little bit of feedback, but not enough that anyone can hear. There's ways to get around that. So this goes into my mixer. Everything here goes into my mixer. Into my Tascam, out of the mixer into my Tascam multi-track, which you can't see right now. I'm going to change that, so I'm going to change. I'm going to have the multi-track up here. and then that goes out the digital output, not the audio output, because I still get some feedback like that. The digital output spitteth into the audio interface right here, and that gets to me the cleanest signal. I do not have my microphone plugged up into that because that I do get feedback from that. I don't want any feedback on the vocals at all, no feedback. I want clean vocals. So my microphone is plugged directly into my Tascam, which goes to my audio interface. That gives me a clear, clean signal. So that's why I have everything the way it is. For those who don't understand, you gotta do a little research to understand, and maybe you understand the method to my madness. But there's a reason for everything. You might not be able to see too much right here, but I have turntables right here, and this is what I use afterwards to, play around with the music. And it goes to my SP404, which you can't see at the moment, but I will be doing more videos on that to see the uses, how I use that to DJ my songs, right? So, now that you hear how everything sounds and you know the reasoning for everything, let me show you a beat I was working on today using this stuff. The bass you hear is coming out of this. That sound you hear right here is coming up. That little melody pads coming out of the HYDRASYNTH. Everything is here for a reason. Gives a little flavor to the music. You gotta have some flavor to your music. Have your own little identity, your own stamp, your own sound. I feel like these give me a sound. You hear the bass girl? That's that right there. That little whistle sound. Drums are coming out of this RS7000. That's where I'm getting my drums from. And you hear that? RS7000. Up soon, so look out for it. As I make more videos, things will be more readily available. I still gotta mix the beat a little bit though, so it's not available now, but it will be soon. Trust and believe. That's enough of that. I want to thank you guys for watching. Shout out to Nick Danger. Shout out to all the pages and all my fans who support me through this journey that I'm going on right now. Like I said, why did I start making these videos? I feel like as an artist right now in the new temperature and the new climate that we have right now, they want us to make content. I don't want to make random content. Shout out to those artists who do make random content. Trying to put them down. Me personally, I want to make content based on the brand that I have. I'm a musician, I'm a producer, so I feel like the best way I can do is to make content of me making music, right? I want to show my fans my process of making these beats, and then eventually I'll start actually recording a song on there too, so you can see the whole process, the beat making process, how I choose the samples when I'm doing samples. I'm not gonna show you how the samples I'm choosing though, because a lot of haters out here trying to deter the producer. You know what I'm saying? Not gonna show y'all the samples I'm doing though, but I will show y'all what I'm doing with the samples, how I add the drums, a whole bunch of other tips and just information, and just to share with other creatives too. But like I said, I feel like right now we all got to create content and connect with the fans in a different way though. So this is my best way to do this. I always wish that I could see RZA make a beat in the studio when I was younger, and then he record the song right there, or have it do that. But that would have been amazing. By the time I seen that, I was a little older though, and they was doing stuff like that sometimes. But imagine if this was on a regular basis. So I want to give that to my fans too. And I feel like this is the best way for me to do it though. You guys get to see my studio, my production space, and like I said, I'm gonna be making more videos explaining exactly how I do this. I want all the other creators to feel like they can, get out there, put themselves out there, and make content too of what they doing, or how they living, or whatever case they got to do. Like I said, shout out to Nick Danger for the motivation to do this. Just released the album on 420, Cooking Bones, and I released a single with my guy, Core Mason, Things to Do in Brooklyn When You're Dead. Just released on 420. It's an album out right now. I got on Even, direct to consumer. Militaire Sans Frontier. Got albums out on Spotify. I want to leave all the links below, so you can check those out if you want to. It has production just like this. And like I said, all these machines, all these instruments are used in the process of making my album. I'll let you know when I get more instruments. Basically gonna take you on my journey. We're gonna be on this journey together. Feel me? Y'all gonna see me rise. Y'all gonna see me. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna make this happen together. You know what I'm saying? Though. Well, I want to thank all my fans for watching these, and hopefully I could teach you something. You could learn. You know what I'm saying? Like I had to learn online too.